Welcome to Film and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. I am so excited today to be joined by Miss Judy Pace, stage actress, screen actress, film, TV, you name it, she's done it. Outstanding award, Image Award for Best Daytime Actress in a Drama Series. You saw her in Brian's Song, and that's why we really wanted to talk to her, because the show's called Film and Medicine, and I just want to start there. In the beginning, I heard, and it may not be true, that there was a small health issue that then got you into modeling because you were in college and on a different path.
It wasn't a small health issue. It wasn't a small health issue. It was a major health issue. As a kid, they discovered that I had a problem with my leg. And I was taken and placed into the orthopedic hospital for children. I was there for over 3 months with surgery. There was something wrong with the growth plate of one of my legs.
And so
now,
maybe there was like an imbalance.
No, it wasn't acting, it wasn't growing, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So it was far more serious than I knew it was as a kid. I'm like in second grade, first grade, that kind of situation. And I was there and they would give me drugs and I hated the drugs and it was awful. I couldn't play. My mother and dad and everybody would come and sometimes I couldn't go down and greet them. I had to look out the window and wave at them. It was awful. And then the fear of thinking I might have one leg shorter than the other leg.
Which is what they were doing all this for.
To make sure that did not happen. So after a couple of surgeries, I was finally able to go home. But we had this ritual. I had to come and be checked every 4 months to see if the leg was growing. Well, thank God, God Almighty, the leg grew.
All right, that's our church.
Hello. I mean, the thought of having that was just like, oh my God. Once that was settled, that's when I wanted to be a model.
Sure. And is that what inspired it? That, okay, now...
No, my sister, I have 2 absolutely beautiful sisters. One is named Jean Pace, or Jean Pace Brown, and the other is named Betty Pace. My sister Jean was married to Oscar Brown Jr. She's a singer and a dancer and just drop dead gorgeous. Stop traffic. I'd actually seen her stop traffic.
I think it runs in the family.
I don't know about all that. My mama was cute too.
Modesty will get you everywhere.
And my sister Betty decided she didn't like dancing, she didn't like singing, but she wanted to do something exciting, so she was going to be the model. And so she started taking classes and coming home and showing me what to do and what not to do and all of that. And then she said, oh, this is so boring. She decided to become an exec with the city. Okay, so that's what she did. And just by chance, this was around the time when Ebony Fashion Fair was going, and Ebony Fashion Fair was like just the buzz of the buzz of the buzz. It was the bomb, darling. It was the bomb. And they didn't have anyone from the West Coast. Actually, they didn't have anyone west of Chicago.
And anyone who had your skin tone, because that was a really big thing.
Well, skin tone? What do you mean skin tone? You mean chocolate?
Sure.
Is that what you're talking about?
Really black. I mean, weren't they sort of airing a little bit towards lighter than that?
Let's just say this: if you were a model, I have a term for certain things. This is my title. It's called color-coded casting.
I love it.
Colored coding casting is, if it's supposed to be pretty, it's either going to be white or it's going to be light. There was no chocolate in the mix.
Never put into the formula.
No chocolate. So I think they had one brown-skinned model at the time. And I was able to go to the audition because one of my girlfriend's mothers was a member of the organization that would bring the Ebony Fashion Fair to Los Angeles, and her name was Marilyn McCoo of the Fifth Dimension. She was going to go and be a singer, and I was going to go be a model, and then finally was like, I'm going to be a model and be an actress and be on TV and make movies.
It just kept going.
People kept saying to my mom, you need to talk to that girl. She don't know what she's talking about. She's not going to get married till she's 30. And she's going to be an actress and be a movie star. And my mom said, she's in California. She can be anything she wants to be.
I love it.
And my dad used to call us There was 3 of us. I was deep chocolate. Sure. My sister Jean was a little caramel, and my sister Betty was just right brown.
Sure.
So he would just always tell us we were beautiful, and we believed him.
Sure, right. And the awards
but then reality would happen when you got out in the world and got out of the house.
Right, sure.
You know?
And we talked a little bit about that in terms of just growing up. Your upbringing and where you grew up was very different. Jewish community, Asian community, and also
yes.
just maybe yourself only being the Black community.
It was, when you're doing it, you don't realize how unique it is. We knew it was different, but we didn't know how unique it was. My mom and dad are from Jackson, Mississippi. Right. And they had great imaginations and great courage and what they were going to do. One thing they were going to do, they weren't going to raise their children in Jim Crow.
Okay.
So they were getting the hell out of Jackson, Mississippi as quickly as they could.
Right. And this is just to put a time frame on it.
We're talking 19... I'm 80. How do you think that is? This
you don't
is my
look
80.
So
my 80
how can I know
is
that?
this year. It's one
I
of
thought
those.
It was your 62nd year. See, they gave me bad notes.
Oh, okay. You're so kind. Anyway, you're so kind. They were from Jackson, Mississippi. We're talking 1934.
Sure. Okay.
1934. There were hardly any brown people outside of the South at that time, and they started the Great Migration and all of that. But they wanted to come. They wanted to be as far away from the South as they could possibly be. So they would jokingly say, we ran and we ran and we ran, escaping Jackson, Mississippi, and we ran into this ocean.
Right, so we hit the water and couldn't go anymore.
Couldn't go any farther. Exactly. So that's why we're here. And we would say, oh, Daddy, we're so glad you guys ran and got here. Sure. My dad was actually brilliant, and I know people say that about their parents. And my mother was absolutely gorgeous. She was really gorgeous.
We can see it today.
About that. And my father wanted to come out here because he wanted to fly airplanes.
Okay.
He just was fascinated with airplanes.
Right.
And my mom wanted to come out here because she wanted to design clothes for the movie stars and be part of that whole situation. Because sometimes people don't realize that in slavery, there were the people who picked the cotton, who were out in the field, and there were the people who worked in the house. And that's what we had, those in the house and those in the field. But there was a whole nother group of folks. They were called the artisans. They were the fine cabinet makers, the ones who did the fine woodwork, the ones who built the White House, the ones who built all those mansions you see on those plantations, which is really a wrong name for it. We called work camps.
Better word.
Not plantations. So my mom comes from the side where you had all the women who could weave fine fabric and make beautiful gowns and design the gowns and bead the gowns and make the dresses and make sure that the fabric stayed lovely and nice. That stuff wasn't coming from Paris. It would take 8 months for anything to come from Paris or from Europe. They were called the artisans. And that's where my mother comes from, the fine dressmakers, the fine designers, the fine weaving the fabric. And my dad comes from those who were making and building, and the masons and the carpenters and the leather workers and all of those men. They would also take that group of men and send them over to Mr. Brown's house to finish his house off.
Get that done.
So I always have to let people know there were those in the field, those in the house, but there were the artisans and also the musicians and the entertainers. Okay, so my dad never did get to learn how to fly a plane. My mom never did get to design clothes for the beautiful people the actors and the dancers and the singers. My dad went to work for Douglas Aircraft. Douglas Aircraft, they were the ones who were designing and creating or trying to design and create the jets. So in order to work there, you had to take a test if you were going to be a part of that group. They didn't care what color you were. They didn't care what country you came from. They just wanted you to have a lot of brains and be smart and be able to make sure that people didn't die when they test the planes. Like they could crash.
That's not a good thing to come back from.
So my dad took the test, and he was really, really smart, and he did very well. And they made him, now remember now, we're talking 40s. They made him a lead man. the scientists and the engineers that he's going to be a lead man.
Right.
That meant he would have at least 16 Caucasian men working under him.
Right. And that probably created a lot of stress and tension.
That didn't bother him one bit.
Good, okay.
My dad had a great personality. He played a trumpet, and he just loved clubs, and everybody loved him. So that didn't. They knew he was smart.
Right.
They knew it, and so their team was going to be the best team anyway. And so that's what he was doing. And my mom did get to design clothes for actors and singers and dancers, and she opened a ladies' apparel shop called Kitty's Boutique.
Right. And
it became the largest black-owned ladies' boutique west of the Mississippi.
Sure. Wow.
That's where I met my still best friend, Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek.
Yes.
She designed, and she was Nichelle Nichols' stylist,
Right.
and for Nancy Wilson, Tina Turner, Oscar Brown Jr. shows.
Wow, excellent.
People would come in. She did something very unique too. She's way ahead of her time. Once a month, on a Thursday night, close shop at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. Folks would fly in to come to the shop. Folks would drive down from San Francisco to come to the shop. They were the female impersonators.
Okay.
The gay guys
Right.
would come and take over the shop.
Really? Okay.
And it was fabulous. Sometimes you have to put them out. It would be 2 o'clock in the morning. Just go.
And they'd be trying things on. And
They could not try on the regular things.
Sure, okay.
She had a room at the shop where it was called the sip room.
Okay.
And the ladies could come and sip some champagne,
I was gonna
or
say
they
tea.
could sip some tea.
Okay.
And they might come in there with a couple of
Little champagne and
girlfriends, and they'd be in there all day. So she did design for your actors and your stars, and for Annazette Chase, and for just different people. So she realized her dream, and so did my dad.
Right. And how did she feel about you going into the business at that level?
Oh, she thought that was a wonderful idea. And then they would look at her like, Kitty, you sound a little crazy. What do you mean, this little dark-skinned child, she's going to do what? It was that kind of situation.
And tell us about some of those barriers. What was sort of what would you consider to be your big break?
My big break? I think my big break was getting out of high school.
Okay. I think I was thinking about Peyton Place.
Being dark brown and living in a... Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back to something we were talking about.
Okay.
It all ties together. Growing up the way I grew up, with my dad being a lead man,
Sure.
and he wanted us to have the best education possible.
Right.
And there was segregated schools here in Southern California, and they were segregated by your deed. The deeds in California, or Southern California, would have a covenant. You couldn't sell your house to a Negro or a colored person. You couldn't sell your house to an Asian person. So then that meant the schools would be segregated, be an all-white neighborhood, all-white school.
Because you can get in,
You
literally.
you could not, literally, you could not.
Right.
It wasn't school. They wouldn't say, no, you couldn't come,
Right.
but you don't live
Exactly.
here.
Right, exactly, right. And you can't.
So my dad did what they call the straw man. He got one of his men who was on his team, one of the 16 men who were on his team, to gift him the house.
Right.
He had the money, my dad had the money, gave the money to the man, he went and bought the house, and then he deeded it to my dad as a gift.
Right. And we've talked about how my mom did the exact same
Your
thing.
mom did the
Her
same thing.
employer, who was an attorney, signed for her because
Yes.
they said, with all due respect, ma'am, which isn't necessarily respect,
Right.
you can't buy a home.
So we moved into a neighborhood that was predominantly a Jewish neighborhood. I'm talking 47, 48, 49, as we were coming out of that Second World War.
Sure.
So I was in school, me and my brother were the only persons of African descent in my grammar school.
Wow.
I was in school with Japanese kids who had just gotten out of internment camps. I was in school with the Jewish dominant persons in my class, in my school, who were now bringing their relatives to the United States out of concentration camps, their uncles and cousins and grandmothers. So it was very interesting, and they would the Jewish kids' parents would come to the school, like sometimes at recess.
Right. Sure.
Meaning their relatives who were coming over. They wanted to see America, what the kids did.
To visit.
And the Japanese kids really pretty much stayed to themselves. But each group did something that I wish my people would do.
Right.
They had special days that they would leave school.
Right.
The Jewish kids would leave and go to the synagogue and learn all about their people once a week. They learned their history. The Japanese kids would go, they would hold their classes in the different theaters, their former Japanese theaters.
Right, interesting.
And they would go and learn about their people. I think now that we are getting into a situation where they're banning books and taking out Rosa Parks' book and the Muppets' book out of libraries because they don't want their kids to read them. I think we need to do that immediately.
Sure.
We need
really
to start.
Focus on our history.
Oh yes, concentrate on our history.
Speaking of which, there's a key concept you like to really help us rewrite, and that's calling them the Black Renaissance film.
Oh, that's a dirty word.
Sure.
No, that's a group of dirty words strung together. There is a phrase that has been used to depict, talk about, or put in a shelf, or put in a book, give it a label, and it's called this phrase: Black exploitation films. That's a racist term. These were brilliant people. You want to say, well, who was exploiting who? Were the actors exploiting the directors? Were we exploiting the audience? Just what the hell was that?
Right. Because you're being paid.
We were being paid, but some people felt that we should be paid more. We were not going to be paid more than the other actors who were Caucasians. They were getting paid the same thing. If you weren't Elizabeth Taylor or one of the major stars, they had a contract system at that time. The tail end of the contract system, because it was really kind of vicious. You would be placed under contract, not the black folks, but I'll tell you there were some exceptions. Not the black folks, but your regular people you would see in movies before they became stars. They'd be under contracts. They might be making $300 a week. And then if they became a little larger under this 5-year contract, they could then lend them out to another studio, take a bunch of money, and then here's your $350.
Right, sure, wow.
So that's what they did. That's what they did. That changed. The union got stronger, and that changed. I wish it could be referred to as the Black film Renaissance of the 70s, or the 70s Black film Renaissance, because we made movies before the 70s. They were shown in churches and shown in small theaters. So I wish we could drop that phrase.
Something more positive.
Oh, more positive, please.
And then with the film, because the show's called Film and Medicine, like Brian's song,
yes.
This is gripping for its time, besides the fact that it became a congressional film, because it talks about cancer, and here's a black family dealing with that. Just tell us about sort of reading with Louis Gossett for that originally, and doing a film like that.
That movie, I think, touched the heart of so many men. Men come up to me and say, that was the first time I ever cried in a movie. Well, it was a sad film. You're supposed to cry with wonderful actors. But it hit on a theme that when you're dealing with football, which is sport, happy, go out there and get it, and a death by cancer. Billy D. Williams did an incredible job. Everybody in the cast was just magnificent. I had read for the part with magnificent actor, Lou Gossett.
Yes.
Lou Gossett was to have played the role that Billy D. Williams played. So you're saying, well, what happened? There was a group of actors here in Hollywood who had all come out from New York, and they all knew each other. One was my first husband, Don Mitchell from Ironside, and D'Urville Martin, Raymond St. Jacques, and on Sundays, we knew where they were going to be. They were going to be on the basketball court. I mean, like, on
really
the basketball court. So it got
to
to the point that folks would come and watch the black actors play basketball. It was just, and the wives would be out there, and sometimes you bring the kids. Well, the week after the auditions with Lou Gossett, I got the role.
Wow.
I got the role. I got the role of, I got that role. And this particular weekend when they're playing basketball, it wasn't good for Lou, because Lou got hurt.
Right. And
Lou physically got hurt.
Sure.
So I get a call from my agent, and he explains to me that Lou won't be doing the part, and they would like to know if you would come in and read with the male actors. I'm like, wait. Why isn't Lou doing? Why isn't Lou doing the part? He's been injured. He's hurt. He can't do the part. Can't play the football player.
Right.
So I go and I start reading with the different actors,
right.
and they were all excellent.
Sure.
They were excellent. Sure. But Billy had a little something going on.
I've heard that rumor.
He had a something. Sure. And he was just a very, very good actor. Sure. And they're both still, their names are still out there. Lou Gossett.
Absolutely.
Billy D. Williams. They were just both excellent. They had some good choices with the other men who came too, who were reading. Sure. So that's how that happened.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to talk us about your favorite leading man, Mr. Curt Flood.
Oh, yeah. He is my favorite leading man. That's my husband. My husband is deceased. I'm the widow of Major League Baseball All-Star, 2 World Series rings, 7 consecutive Gold Gloves. He was also the captain of his team, first black man to be the captain for 4 years in a row. Did I say 8? Did I say 7 consecutive?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Right, Golden Gloves.
He's part of that first generation after Jackie Robinson. He was with the St. Louis Cardinals for 12 years.
Wow.
12 years he was with the St. Louis Cardinals with some incredible other players, with Bob Gibson and Lou Brock. And it was just an incredible magic moment in the world of sports when they started bringing the black athletes into the game, the American game, because it's the American game. It's the American game. So Curt signed with the Cardinals in 1957, and he went off to, he signed with the Cincinnati Reds in 1957, and he went off to play minor league. Okay, he's born and raised in California.
Right.
He's going to Carolina League. Carolina's in the South, in the deep South.
Right.
And we're talking
at that time.
50s.
Right.
And we saw what Jackie was going through. So when you're in the minor leagues, it's even worse. He knows he's going to be, gets off the plane, gets off the train. Gets off the plane, and he sees these 2 fountains, and one says white and one says black, and he's like, "There's one 7-Up and one's Coca-Cola."
Right, sure. I'm not sure what that meant.
He stops and said, "Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. You know what it is. You know what it is." And he takes a taxi, but he had to wait at the train station for a black taxi, because you weren't allowed to ride in the white taxis, because you could not have a Caucasian man driving you around. No, they didn't do that. And so he goes in and presents himself to the hotel, and the hotel looks at him and says, you with the team, huh? And he says, yeah. And they said, he blows a whistle, and this man comes, and he says, "You have to come go with me," and takes him out the back door of the hotel to where the black taxis are, and then they send him to a private home, and they all call the Ma Feller's home, because that's where the black players had to stay. They could not stay with the team.
Right. Wow.
Couldn't stay with the team, couldn't eat with the team. All they could do, this is my favorite, they couldn't use the clubhouse.
Really?
They could not use the clubhouse. They had to dress at Ma Feller's, and the black taxis would come up. There might be 4 or 5 guys staying in the one house, and the black taxis would be out front, and they'd come marching out of the front door in their uniform.
Right. Wow.
And oh Lordy, if they had to play a doubleheader, guess what they had to do?
Change, I don't know where.
Where the hell were they going to change?
Right.
There was nowhere to change. They had to sit there in their soaking wet uniforms while The hours went by for the doubleheader.
To the next game.
To the next game. And then go out and play in the South in your wet uniform while the other guys could go into the clubhouse, take a shower, do whatever they wanted to do, eat some snacks or whatever. And then Kurt said then I would have to walk out to center field in the South where they're already calling me the N-word and calling me alligator meat and just racist terms you don't even hear anymore. They're so awful. So he said, and I have to walk out to center field and turn my back on all of that noise and all of that hate. Always wondering, is someone going to throw a can of beer, a can of Coke, a bottle at me? So trying to concentrate on the game and watch out that your head isn't knocked off is kind of difficult to do.
Right.
But guess what? He did it. And he won every stat. He was topped every stat in the Carolina League. And he was the VIP because he was, he won the best player award for the whole league. So there's a big dinner. So he's sitting in the back of the bus. He had to sit in the back of the bus because if the police saw him sitting any other way, they'd stop the bus and put him in the back of the bus. So he's sitting back there in the back. And they get to the hotel, and he's all excited, I'm going to get my award. And the guy stops him at the door. You can't come in here. No colors allowed. And he's looking at his coach, and the coach says, oh Kurt, you just go sit in the bus. We'll get your award. No, you'll get the award. He sits there in the bus during this dinner, during the ceremony, during the presentation of the award, and then finally, before it was all over, a furniture maker, one of the biggest furniture makers, because that's where they grow all the timber, knocked on the door and said, Kurt, I came to get you. Berkovich called me and said, and I told him what was happening. He said to go get you. Berkovich was a man in San Francisco, Oakland area who had a major furniture store, and Kurt used to work for him. So he's friends with the guy who makes all the furniture. So he takes him and starts walking in, and they're ready to stop him, and then they see who he is. Because half the town works for him.
So he has that ability.
So he let him go in, and he got his award. I mean, just some crazy stuff. This is my other favorite one of just how extreme the racism was on the black guys who were playing. At one stadium, they had built, you know what corrugated steel is? It's like, it's got the little things in it, and it's steel.
Yes,
There was a window that was at the clubhouse. Window you could look into the clubhouse. So they put this corrugated lean-to steel piece of thing up for the black players who were now coming to be outside of the clubhouse, but they could look in the window. They could not stand up. And if you're playing in the summertime and it's steel, it's like you're in an oven. So it was a doubleheader. So he did get to go and get out of his uniform and get a new uniform. He put another uniform on. And he threw his wet uniform into the window, the clubhouse window. And the guys start cursing at him and yelling at him, and then the man went and got a long stick, like they would pick up paper with a nail. Took this thing, got it, and threw it in a bag. And there were one bag for the black player, and the bag for the other guys who were getting their stuff done right there. Put his uniform in a black taxi and took it to the colored cleaners.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about really keeping it separate and not equal.
He took it to the cleaners. So while he's sitting there with no clothes on, not just his underwear, waiting for his uniform to come from the black cleaners, the game starts. They start the game without him. So he could hear people calling his name. Where's the N-word name, and did you get rid of him, and blah, 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 blah. So finally his uniform comes, he puts it on, and he goes out there, and he said they did start throwing stuff. They were throwing the cans, they were throwing the this, and then somebody kind of calmed him down, and he had to go stand with his back to to all those folks. It went on like that. It went on like that a lot. Finally, for the Cardinals,
Right.
there was a doubleheader, and Bob Gibson and him were, of course, still in their soaking wet uniforms, and it was now, they had already played both games, and they're now walking across the parking lots to get to the black taxis because they can't come into the stadium. They can't come in.
Right.
So that means that people are bothering them constantly.
Right, even going to there,
yeah.
to leave.
Yeah. So they have to walk, and they say they usually would just get and step together and just like literally walk, march, not walk.
Right, yeah.
So he says, big limousine pulls up, and they can see it's Mr. Bush, the owner.
Right.
And he stops the limo. He had a black chauffeur he had for about 15 years. And they waved at the chauffeur. And Bush says, "What are you guys doing out here in your uniforms?" He said, "Why are you out here? Why don't you better go get on that bus?" And Bob says, "We're not allowed in the clubhouse." He said, "What do you mean you're not allowed in the clubhouse?" He says, "We can't go in the clubhouse." He says, "No, we can't go in the clubhouse, and we're going over here. Our taxis are here, and we're just going to go get our taxis and go to." He says, "Well, why don't you just let me take you? I can take you on over to the hotel." He says, "We're not allowed to stay in the hotel." Right. He says, "What do you mean you're not?" This man who owns the team, owns the beer company, had no idea that they were living in separate quarters, eating separately, couldn't use the clubhouse, had to live at some house and change their clothes, and he did not know, was not aware at all. And so he said, okay, all right. And then he said he drove off. And they went on to the taxi and went to Ma Feller's. About 11 o'clock that night, his black chauffeur comes knocking on the door and waking him up. And he says, "Get your stuff. You guys are moving." It was about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 of them, 5 or 6 of them. And he said, "You guys are moving." And he tells the people they're going to be leaving. And they're like, "Well, where are we going? Where are we supposed to?" "I'm taking you to the hotel." He said, "We can't stay there." He said, "Mr. Bush bought it."
They did that in Asian, rich Asians. That was how the scene began.
He bought the hotel.
Wow.
So they could stay at the hotel because he wanted to know where his boys were. He had no idea
that they were living like that.
that they were living right. Wow. So they check into the hotel, and they now have a room, and Bob and Kurt are roommates, just the two of them, and we can go downstairs and eat. So they go downstairs to eat, and they have another section, a separate section for these black players.
Carved out.
And now the players weren't always from the same team. It could be different teams, members from different teams living in the same Ma Feller house. So that was breakfast. When they came back at dinner time, guess what they had done? They had built a petition around the area for the black players, so that no one could see them.
Wow.
So that was just how deep that stuff was. So nobody could see them. Wow. So that's how they were able to then start living, but they would be on another floor, not the same floor, and all that kind of stuff. So it was very interesting. And during the World Series, it became so hostile against the black players from the other side, the other team. Each one was assigned a police officer who wore plain clothes, who protected them, and the black players' wives also had a police person that they didn't even know they had a police person following them and keeping an eye on them because they thought it would upset them too much. That's how
it was entrenched.
And the fact that they could then actually just continue to break records and play and continue to just be the best of the best. I know that when Kurt decided that he was going to challenge the reserve clause, because he He was captain of the team. This is in 1968, 69. And he had 2 World Series rings, and that's the year he won his 7th consecutive Gold Glove. That means you're the best in your position, you are the best, you're the best. And they say, we're going to trade you. And his thoughts were, I mean, my whole life is here. I've been here for 13, 12 years. So he decided not to go. He was the first athlete who ever said, I'm not going to be traded, I'm not going. And they didn't believe him. They didn't believe him, but he started that whole process and went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the night of the vote, the night before the morning vote, one of the Supreme Court justices, a clerk, called the union, called Major League Baseball Players Union, and told them this. He's going to abstain because he can't vote because there's a conflict of interest. And they were like, well, what conflict of interest? He's been sitting in on everything. He's been there every day. The trial's going on, blah, 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 blah. They said, well, he just realized today that he owns stock in Anheuser-Busch. I just always thought that was just so, he thought, the Supreme Court justice thought that they only owned the stadium. They did not own the team. They'd only owned the team for about a century. I'm exaggerating.
Long enough to be aware.
And maybe he thought they just owned the horses, the Clydesdale. I always thought that was so bizarre, so bizarre. So he abstained. And,
but the act still passed.
Say it again?
The act still passed.
No.
The Cripplet Act.
No, that's different.
Sure.
That's
Okay,
different.
okay.
That's
Let's not get this
different.
history.
Okay, that's different. He lost the case. The only person who came to testify for Kurt was Jackie Robinson, player. The only player who came into the courtroom and testified was Jackie Robinson. And what he said and what he did was just absolutely magnificent. The only person who came to testify against Kurt was Joe Garagiola. Joe Garagiola. Joe Garagiola, who's the only one who got Jackie Robinson to actually fight on the field, or ready to fight on the field. It was Joe Garagiola who was the one who campaigned to walk off the field if Jackie Robinson came on the field. That guy. Yeah, okay. Want to make sure you knew who that guy was. Okay. So, Kurt, the act you're speaking of, first let me just say this. The antitrust laws in the United States of America that all companies have to abide by, guess who doesn't?
Anheuser-Busch.
No, just guess who does? It's an institution. It's the American
Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball to this day does not have to. It doesn't apply to them. There's only one part of that does apply to them, and it's because of the Kurt Flood Act, the Congressional Act that bears the name of an athlete and the athlete's number. It's called Bill number 21, the Kurt Flood Act, that changed, and they had to apply to interstate commerce in regards to the players. The players. Everything else is still the same. They do not, doesn't apply to Major League Baseball. The only thing is the players. They have to operate under those same guidelines as everyone else. So he changed the way business is done in all disciplines of sports. All of them, all of the sports. He did that, and it changed the game. It changed it. They said it was going to kill the game, but it made it more competitive. Because now you could be, it wasn't up to the person who you worked for to tell you who you were going to work for next. Which is a big difference. And you understood and knew what your monies and your salaries were going to be. It changed everything. It really, really did. And it changed Kurt's life completely. He had to excel. He exiled himself from this country. He went to Mallorca, Spain, He lived there for a good 5-something years because they were going to kill him. He was getting death threats everywhere. It was just, they were going to kill him. They'd already killed Martin Luther King.
Right.
They'd killed Kennedy. They were like, bang, bang, you're dead.
Right.
Bang, bang, you're dead. And it wasn't...
Very serious threat.
Sometimes they did it in broad daylight.
Sure, right. There were people...
They did it in broad daylight. But he is the reason why we have free agency today.
Right. That was the translation.
Right, absolutely.
One of the last things I want to touch on is the importance of education, and sort of your whole career has really been symbolic of that, breaking down the walls, this story that we talked about with Kurt of really literally knocking down barriers.
You know how I met Kurt?
How?
Okay, you'll like this story. I'm going to tell it real quick. Do you remember a show called The Dating Game?
Yes.
Remember
you were
that?
the first black female.
Yeah, I was the first black female on The Dating Game when it was the afternoon show.
Right.
I was also the first female on the nighttime show when it went to prime time and night. Okay. All right, it's prime time and it's going to be the nighttime show. They said, you want to come and do it? I said, well, yeah, sure, I'll come and do it.
Right.
Okay. One of the bachelors was Willie Mays. Now, once you do the show, you can advertise the show.
Right.
So we had already done the show, and they were advertising the show, and it was on Thanksgiving night. So everybody's going to watch Willie Mays on The Dating Game, their primetime premiere nighttime show.
Right.
So guess who was watching?
Kurt Flood.
Yes.
And
Mr.
he
Flood.
liked what he saw.
Mr. Flood was watching.
Right.
I mean, he was literally watching. The next day, he calls ABC and wants to get that girl's number. I think her name is Judy. Who's on The Dating Game. How can I get her number? He told him, we are the network. You have to call the production company. And he says, well, how do I find out who the production... She said, just a moment. She gave him the name of the production company, whichever the name was that produces. So he calls them. And they were like, are you crazy? We can't give you numbers. Right. Call her agent. Well, how do I get her agent? Call the union. What's the union?
Sure, right. Exactly.
So he finds out what the union is. He calls the union, and the union tells him the same thing. Call her agent. Who's her agent? They tell him her agent's William Moore's agent. See, is that her agent? He said the woman there was like a pause. Right. No, William Morse died many years ago.
Right. It's an agency. Wow.
But if you call there, they'll know who her agent is. So he calls, and Cy Marsh actually takes the call from Kurt Flood because he was a baseball fan.
And
so he takes the call, and Cy thinks this is a great idea. So he did not give him my home number, but he gave him a public number, my mom's boutique.
Okay.
So he calls the boutique and asks for me, and my mom answered the phone, and she says, oh, Judy's at home. She's not here right now. He says, well, Cy Marsh told me to call. He says, oh, well, let me give you the number, because that's my agent. So she thinks it's about
okay,
work,
business,
you know?
Right, she didn't know.
So the show went on in Thanksgiving.
Yes.
He called me from Thanksgiving to the next World Series because my first date with Kurt Flood was the World Series at Dodger Stadium, and him and my dad had become really good buddies because he would call and talk to my dad because I don't know you. I'm like 19, 20 years old. I don't know who you are. And my dad one day said, you're just being rude. He's a fine young man. He's like a Jackie Robinson. You just need to go out with him. Just don't go on a date with him. I said, okay, Daddy. So when he called and I talked to him, I didn't just give the phone to my dad. And I said, okay, I'll go out with you. He said, okay. He said, okay. I said, but wherever we go, it has to be a lot of people. And we need a chaperone because I don't know you. He said, okay, I'm going to call you right back. So when he called back, that's when he said, will Dodger Stadium do for the people?
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot. And he said, how about my dad, his dad, and my aunt, and your mother and father as the chaperones? And I was like, okay.
That's a date. He did it. He pulled it off.
But my dad never missed a day of work at Douglas Aircraft. Oh, baby, I'd love to go, but I mean, it's a daytime game. I can't go. My mom do we sit in the sun?
Exactly. So everybody started bowing out.
So we went, and it was his dad and his aunt, and that was my first date with Mr. Mann. And after the game, we dropped his dad off and dropped his aunt off and came back to my mom's house and had raided the refrigerator and sat there and talked. And he wanted to know all about my union.
Wow, right.
That's what he wanted. Well, what do they do? You have your own PR person. It's not like the shows. I said the show will have the PR person also, but we have our own individual PR persons. I was amazed at what they did not have.
Wow.
I was
Considering.
They start playing when they're 17 and 18, and they go through this, I call it brainwashing.
Right. And then,
back in the
they
day.
Take advantage. They take advantage.
Like don't talk to any other player. Don't ever tell them what you earn.
Right. So keep it.
Now they publish it on big headlines.
Right. So everybody knows.
So and so is making $90 million a year.
Everybody knows.
Just signed a 20-year contract. Well, he's already 30. How long you gonna think the man's gonna play? I'm just kidding.
Sure. Well, this has been lovely. I just want to say that it's such a pleasure.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
My kids did this for me.
Mm-hmm.
They now have a new title for me.
And what is that?
It's called Judy the First. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, what is that? What is that? He said, Mommy, you were the first black villainess on TV, and the first black family of drama was Ruby Dee and Glenn Turman. I said, yeah, okay. And Mommy, you were the first black lawyer on TV. Right. And Mommy, you were the first person to have a black congressional film.
Right.
Brian Song.
Yes.
And Mommy, you had a second congressional film, and that was Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Right. With Paul
And
Mooney.
Mommy, Cotton Comes to Harlem was the first blockbuster film and ushered in the black film renaissance of the 70s.
Right.
And there was a whole list. There's more. There was a whole list, but I didn't know.
So
you know how you don't put stuff
Right,
together?
sure.
Yeah.
That's
And my daughter's an actress.
Sure, yes.
And my other daughter's an attorney. And they're both Howard graduates. And I brainwashed them with education, some more education, and some more education.
Exactly.
And my daughter, who's the actress, she also has a master's degree. And I was happy they decided they wanted to go to a historical black college.
Right.
Because here in Los Angeles, you can just put blindfolds on, throw a rock, and you're going to hit a university, a college, a junior college.
Right.
They're everywhere here in Southern California, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of my daughters.
Wonderful.
Yep.
It's a great story.
Oh, I left my husband out. I did.
Yeah. How did we do that?
My first husband,
Sure.
Don Mitchell.
Right.
Of Ironside.
Right, actor.
The first man on TV to legally carry a gun when he became a detective.
That's right.
I could not just leave my whole husband out. We were married for a long time.
Yes.
Yes.
This has been wonderful. You've been here with us on Film and Medicine, and I feel like your entire career has been such a series of firsts, but more importantly, that you've really done amazing work, as you continue to do, to educate us about the importance of our history and really realizing that we need to continue to educate ourselves more and more about everything that we've done and what we've overcome. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, young man. With you're just a little genius. I know that. You were that little kid in school who had his hand up all the time. I know, weren't you?
No, I hit in the back.
Yes, you were.
I didn't want to show off.
How many degrees do you have?
3.
Oh, really?
That's it. But I know we'll now be at thermometer.
Most folks are happy to get 1.
I've got to stop.
Keep going. You got more good stuff out of it. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been
Thanks
such
so much.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed.